We'll go ahead and get started in the interest of time. I know we have our live stream going as well. So my name is Nicole. I'm the mom of two boys. My older son is almost 6 years old. He has Angelman syndrome. I just want to thank you all for being here. I know after, a late night, it's not always easy to come trickling in the morning. So thank you so much for being here. Yesterday was such an amazing day, an invigorating day of promise, and the future certainly is bright for our kids, and science certainly holds so much in store for them. But here we are today, very much facing the challenges that having a child with Angelman syndrome brings in terms of educating them, in terms of providing them the support they need for autonomous communication. And as promising as the science is, we are still very much faced with that challenge as it stands in our pre-therapeutic days. Ryder was diagnosed at the age of 2, and when we received the diagnosis and I heard the devastating things and read the devastating things that Angelman syndrome encompasses, it didn't quite correspond to what I knew my child was capable of, and I think a lot of parents in this community have that same experience. Like many parents, I went to the internet immediately and started seeing these people, Erin Sheldon, Mary Louise Bertram, many others, who were convinced that our children could communicate, our children could be educated, and had dedicated their life to figuring out how that could happen. And I really clung to that belief and still do. We are very lucky to be diagnosed at a time where not only is there amazing, promising therapeutics happening, but we're really in a revolution in terms of technology for assistive communication. And not only that, but the parents in our community have really created a revolution in and of ourselves, because we know what our children are capable of. So I feel very lucky to be here moderating this panel. There's 2 panels today. This is session B, and you can switch back and forth if you need to throughout the day. A couple important announcements. One of the gifts that we were given was tickets to AAC in the Desert, which is an amazing conference that happens every year in Arizona. There's a ballot box outside in the lobby, so if you're interested in winning a ticket, you can just put your name inside the ballot box. The people who gifted the prize, those tickets have just asked that should you enter your name, please be sure that you're able to go. Lunch today is on your own, and we ask that you're just back on time so that we can start the presentations on time so we can get out of here on time and get ready for tonight, the main event. So yeah, without further ado, I just want to introduce our first panelists. These panelists represent the makers of 2 out of numerous assistive technology tools, and they're here to present the services and resources and products from their company, and we're very lucky to have them here today because they're really the ones that know the ins and outs of the particular devices that some of our kids use. From Tobii-Dynavox, we have Adam Slota and Mackenzie Soser. Both are SLPs. Adam is the pediatric representative for Chicago, and Mackenzie is the adult representative. And from PRC, we have Jenny Vallier. She's the regional consultant, and she is also a speech-language pathologist. So without further ado.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. My name is Adam. I'm with Tobii-Dynavox. I'm an SLP. I've been practicing in the Chicago area for about 10 years before I came on to Tobii-Dynavox, and it's been a fun transition. So I'm fairly new. Been here for about 7 or 8 months with the company. And I'm really honored to be able to come here and talk to you all about our products and services and how we can help your kiddos start communicating and kind of unlocking their potential. I kind of just wanted to come and walk you through some of our products and some of the software that we offer. We have numerous products for communication devices. We have some touchscreen products that we have on our booth. You can feel free to come and play with them, check them out, do what you want, ask questions. We also have different types of technology, like for eye gaze accessibility. If you can't use your hands, we have use of switches and head mouse. A lot of different products out there for whatever accessibility feature you need. And all that's cool, but really what's awesome about Tobii-Dynavox is our software products and how we can use technology to communicate and get our needs across. One of our biggest pieces of software that we have is Snap Plus Core First, which you see here on the screen. This is a really awesome, fairly new to us since April, communication software. It's symbol-based, and the idea is to start putting symbols together, string words together, and start communicating. And so I'm just going to give you a little tour here. This main screen that you see right here is our core word page. So if you're familiar with core, single words that can be put together in multiple ways to create multiple sentences, and that's kind of our big focus with this kind of a software, is to start targeting literacy skills and building sentences so kids can say exactly what they want to say. So just on this screen alone, you could probably say 50 plus sentences without leaving the screen. Really awesome. But then we have things on this sidebar here in pink. There are word lists, and these word lists are pretty darn exhaustive. They have any words you could ever want to find for the most part in there. So that's really kind of our flagship idea, targeting literacy skills, targeting sentence building so kids can say what they want to say. But as a company, we also believe that while we're working on these literacy skills and developing sentence building, we still want kids to have a way to communicate to everybody. So if they can't put together a 4 or 5, 6 word sentence, we still want them to be able to communicate their thoughts, because we know they have a lot to say, even if they don't have those skills to build those sentences together. So we have a lot of different tools available to us and to kids to start communicating those ideas. Right here on this left-hand side is our little toolbar. It kind of stays flat, so no matter where I navigate, that toolbar is always going to stay there. And right now I'm in this core area, but if I come down to quick fires, we're going to have a lot of different words and phrases built in so kids can have that in-the-moment communication. So no matter whether they are at home, whether they're out shopping, at school, out at the restaurant, they're going to have access to a lot of different phrases and concepts to stay engaged. And things like greetings and socials. We have all these different social conventions in, so on the fly they could say, "My name is Adam," or "I use this device to talk." Again, as they're developing those literacy skills and can't put that sentence together, we're going to have them tools so they can get that out in the moment and not feel left behind as conversation moves really fast between people. In quick fires, we have a lot of other things in here as well, things like personal needs to get out in the moment, because we don't want to, if something's hurting somebody, we don't want them to have to spend time to build that sentence from scratch. We want them to get that out right away. So again, just really good supports for kiddos. We also have topics, which is really great. Another way we can balance the need for saying exactly what you want to say with sentence building, but with phrase-based messages. And we have lots of topics that are built in here. For example, bubbles. You're going to have lots and lots of phrases about bubbles in here. So while you're, if you want to say, "I want to play with bubbles," but don't have those literacy skills, you can press a button here and it will say, "I want to play with bubbles," or "Go get the bubbles," or "I popped it." And what you'll notice on the screen is there's a lot of different communication functions on here. So on the top in blue, we have things like, we have questions about bubbles, and we move down into orange and there's statements and requests about bubbles. In green and red, there's negative and positive statements about bubbles. So really just we want to target a lot of different communication functions with this, so kids aren't just using the device to request, they're really actually having a very rich conversation and interaction with people around them. And then as we move down, we have a keyboard, so if you want to start targeting things like spelling and writing and all that kind of stuff, that's going to be in here as well. Another great thing about the topics, real quick, is this little supports button. It's a really useful tool if you are trying to target behaviors and manage behaviors, but still staying within the realm of your device. We have different ways to kind of help support that and help scaffold that. We have things like first then statements, and all these speak. So if you're on bubbles, you could say first we open the bubble, or open the lid, and then we can use the bubble wand. And we have things like visual schedules in here. So you can kind of have a little schedule of what we're going to do while we do the bubbles and how we accomplish that. And there's social stories in here. So if someone, you did an event at school or did some kind of activity, you could build your own social story in here and have a script to go and tell your loved one, your family, someone what you did during that day just by pressing these different buttons. So kind of a really neat, unique thing that we have in our software. And then we also, we have a dashboard here where you can manage some different things, like you can do remotes. You can control your TV, you can control your DVD player and stuff with our devices. But there also is Boardmaker Student Center. I won't spend a lot of time talking about this, but one of our sister companies, Boardmaker Online, has tons of resources. They have like over 60,000 lesson plans, and SLPs and teachers and other professionals are constantly making new ones. We have access to that through here, and by the click of a button, you can get into Boardmaker Online and start accessing those lesson plans and having kind of a one-stop shop for viewing your communication, but also engaging in the lesson plans that your SLP and teachers have provided for your students and for your kids. Some other cool, nifty features. We have a little word search feature. So if you can't find a word, don't feel like you have to program it in. You have a ways to find it. So coffee, I'm always drinking coffee, so I always need to use that word. But if I don't know where it is, I can start searching for it, and it's going to highlight our buttons. And we can kind of navigate there. And there it is. And we can use this as a teaching tool for kids as they're learning where words are and they're developing that plan of how to navigate. We can show them, and they can follow along. Okay? What's also really great about this, besides just the content of it, is it's really easy to edit. It doesn't take a whole lot of programming skills to go in and make changes. So if you want to customize this with your kids, really easy to do that. And it's also really easy to grow. So we know kids have a range of abilities, and we're always wanting those abilities to gather steam and improve. And we have a way for this to grow with your kids as they start gaining proficiency and gaining skills. We can change, these are our different grid sizes. So you can see we have a lot of different options. We can start as simply as, if someone's just learning symbol correspondence, has never been really exposed to AAC or symbols, we don't have to overwhelm them with lots of different options. We can just start on one big button really quickly and start teaching want is going to get them something. Want, they're going to get something. And then we can just systematically grow that to 2 buttons, to 4 buttons, to 6 buttons, to 3 buttons, or to 3x3 grid. So you have a nice smooth transition as you start growing this. And what you'll notice as this grows, all of our words are staying in the general relative same position. So we're not moving things around at all on people. That word I is always going to stay in that relative same spot as we move up and down the grid. Yeah, so really cool, really easy. If I wanted to edit some stuff, you can do that on the fly. If I want to take a picture of myself for Dad, there I am, yay. Doesn't look like I've had that coffee yet. But I can put that in really quickly on the fly. So when you want to put a button in real quick, you don't have to sit down and spend 10 minutes programming. You just do it in the moment. It's really fast and really simple. We also have some other cool resources and cool communication resources for you guys. We have this awesome program called Snapscene. It's not meant to be an end-all, permanent communication solution, but it's a really good resource for kids who are just kind of starting their AAC journey and they haven't quite figured out what a grid system is supposed to be like, or they don't quite understand symbols yet. We have some really good ways to start targeting and working with communication with those kids. There's a lot of research out there that says that visual scenes and setting a context for communication can be really powerful for these kids. And so we have something called Snapscene, which is what you see here, where it's really as simple as taking a picture, drawing a hotspot, recording your voice, and you've made a communication scene. My computer, I don't think, is talking today, but if I were to press this little button where it has this little dashed highlighted, it would say, I want to play with the ball. And it's really simple to do. I can just add a scene, take another lovely photo of myself. I will accept that. Oh, I gotta delete that one. That is terrible. We'll pretend that doesn't exist. I will get out of the way of that one. Accept that photo, and I can just draw little hotspots wherever I want. I can record my voice. We're having a great time today. And accept. And done. I've created a scene. And you can put as many of these buttons on a screen as you want. You can make the screen one giant button. But it's a really cool way if you want to, go to the park and have a picnic. You could take a picture of your picnic basket and circle the different foods, and they can just press the button, I want the apple. And you can do that in the moment. You can bring this anywhere. This is on our dedicated devices. This is also on our iPad. You can download this on your iPad. So you could really have this really flexible, take it wherever you want. Another great resource that we have, and do I have it open here, is Pathways for Core First. This is a really cool, kind of like an SLP in a box, a great resource for parents. There's a lot of really awesome tools in here. This is not a communication solution, but it's a cool companion app for you as parents to use. So if you have AAC in your household, if you have Snap Plus Core First, you're going to get a lot of really good resources on how to set it up. So if you're new to Snap Plus Core First, you'll get videos and resources and tutorials on how to set this up for the first time, how to customize Snap Plus Core First and make it what you want. And it's going to give you lots of examples to start trying on your own. This is a free app. It's available on iPad, so go ahead and download it. If you are using Snap Plus Core First, you'll find this really valuable for you. But also, if you are really gung-ho and want to start doing lesson plans with your kids, we have lots of skills in here and lots of lesson plans. And this is probably going to be more used with the educators, but if you are wanting to do a little bit of lesson planning and teaching of AAC, lots of lesson plans in here that you can start targeting. And you could do it by just if you want to teach core vocabulary. You could start going in and finding different words you want to target, and you can view those lesson plans, and there they are, and you have a little companion book to start teaching the word wants. This is completely free, 250 lesson plans in there for you. Know that it exists because it is a really valuable resource. Anything you would add on that, Mackenzie, with Pathways? Cool.
It's free.
Yeah, free is always good. I kind of went through our stuff lightning speed here to get through. I know we only have 20 or so minutes to talk, so I kind of went through this really fast. So if you guys want to stop by our booth and ask us more detailed questions, feel free. But I also, if you guys have questions now, we can do a little Q&A. If you guys, anything on your mind you want to talk about? Yeah.
First off, are these lockable?
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because my son can find that at about,
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good question. The former rep that I still work with to this day for Tobii-Dynavox called it Fort Knoxing devices, and you can absolutely Fort Knox this thing down. You just go into system and you can just put a passcode on here. This will lock it out so you can't go into any editing. So if you've made a bunch of edits, you don't want your kid to make changes to it, you could lock it that way. And then you could lock out the home button on our devices. There's a little home button. You can lock that out so it's inactive. So all you can do is use it for communication.
Okay, the other thing is you were mentioning the board maker and the resources. Are those included with your device, or are those over and above? But once you get into the board maker,
Yeah, so a little bit of both. The BoardMaker Student Center app is free, and there's a lot of free stuff on there. But if you want to start, if your SLP or teacher wants to start putting lesson plans into their account, the school would have to get a BoardMaker online account, and a lot of schools already have that. So something to bring up if you have this with the school. A lot of schools already have it or are willing to get it. BoardMaker online. Mm-hmm.
So does the board maker have the option in the PDF files to make a low-tech version of this as well?
Do you know that answer, Mackenzie? I don't know, but we do on mytobiidynavox.com. You can do low-tech versions of all these grid sizes. We have like a whole resources. So if you just want just the layout here of like the core boards, we have all those online for free at mytobiidynavox.com.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
If you get a dedicated device,
Mhm.
then
Good question. Absolutely. When you get a dedicated device, you get a free license for Snap Plus Core First, and you can put that on your iPad or your Windows 10 device as a companion app. One thing I forgot to mention is we have really great syncing features too. So if you do have your companion app on your iPad, this little button up here, this little cloud, will sync. And I'm not connected to the internet right now, so it won't work. But you could, instead of taking the device away and from your kid and making edits, you could just make the edits from your iPad and press that sync button. And then once you've synced it, go on the device, press sync, all those edits will just pop onto their device. So you never have to take that away, or a school teacher or SLP could do the edits from the couch when they're at home at night watching TV, and then when it comes to school, they press sync and it pops on their device. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other questions? Awesome, cool. Thanks for having me talk. And this is Jenny from PRC.
Thanks, Adam.
We are all good friends.
All right. And none of us have a degree in this kind of technology. Luckily, plug in the HDMI, it's not that hard, right? No. Oh, you're not having today's agenda, don't worry about it. All right. So, like Adam said, my name is Jenny Vallier. I'm the regional consultant for PRC in Northern Illinois and parts of Wisconsin. And like Adam, I'm really thankful that you guys are having us here to talk. And I also wanted to say we get to go to a lot of conferences and see a lot of different groups. And in this conference, this is the one where we see kids with their devices and we see families with their books walking around and actually talking, and that's something that you don't see at every conference. And so high fives all around to you guys, because this is a really great group. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of a combination of trying to keep myself on track with the PowerPoint and then looking at the actual software. We've got some great pictures of little PRC users. The company is the Prentke Romich company. It's 51 years old. Last year when it was 50, I got to do the little Saturday Night Live thing, right? Number 50. It's based out of Worcester, Ohio. So this is actually a really small, relatively local company with consultants all across the U.S. So there are people like me in nearly every state and multiple people in some states whose job is to support you, which is great. Because I think we all know AAC is not as easy as we would like it to be. You can't just hand somebody a bunch of words and then they know what to do with it. And so really, for me, the biggest part of my job is supporting families and their teams in learning to talk more. And I think that that's a really exciting and fun thing to do. So thinking about that, you guys probably all know what AAC is, but it's just worth putting it up there. Augmentative and alternative communication. It's really anything that we use to support our communication, even if you're already talking a little bit. So all of these hand gestures that tell my Fitbit that I'm walking, those can count too. It's your paper, it's your sign, it's your vocalizations, and it's that device. So it's really that whole picture. And so when we're thinking about who needs it, sometimes you've got a kid who, they're talking and they've got a few words, but you really want them to be able to say more. So when I'm thinking about who's going to actually use augmentative communication, I can break them into two groups. I've got kids and adults who have developmental disabilities and people with acquired disabilities. And the reason that it's worth putting this up there is because when we think about what somebody needs, we want to think about where they're starting. And so if we're starting without language already, if we've got a developmental disability, then your AAC system is how you acquire language. And that means we're going to come at it a little bit differently, as opposed to if you're replacing something. Because we're thinking about that, do you already have the ability to read and to spell? Do you have literacy intact? Do you have language intact? Because your approach is going to change for the people who are using AAC to actually learn language. And that's going to be a little bit fun and different. So like Adam mentioned, when we have a symbol-supported system, that's for our people who are using AAC to learn language. So if we're thinking about just PRC, we have the high-tech examples up on the board. So the accent line of devices, I think somebody thought that they were funny calling it the accent. But we make the hardware, and it's essentially small, medium, and large, and they all do almost exactly the same things. It's really about the size and the portability and what's going to work best for you. And then there's this little Prio. It's an iPad option that's fully fundable. What I love about a fundable iPad is that it comes with the support. And again, this is a really big thing. I think you can't just hand somebody a system and expect them to know what to do with it. And so even when maybe you want an iPad and you want the app and that's just what's going to work best for your family, it doesn't mean you know what to do with it. And so a supported device comes with all of the training and the company and the tech support and everything online that people really need to be successful long term. There is an app that you can get from PRC. It's Lamp Words for Life, but it's only this one little piece. It's not as fully integrated. I think they do a really good job with that. But it's worth mentioning. Access methods from PRC. We were originally really just a hardware company started by a couple of engineers. And so we've been integrating access into our devices for a long time, which is one of the great things about making your own hardware, is we know who it's for. We know that you need to be able to throw it. We know you need to be able to put a key guard on it. We know that people need to be able to do different things with their systems and have systems that really hold up. And so you can put those little key guards on there. The ones with the squares are a little bit deeper and help you to be more accurate. The ones with the holes are a little bit thinner and let you just kind of slide your hand across the screen. So no matter what somebody's motor skills are, we can really adjust the system and the hardware to do what they need it to do. You can use it with switches. You can use a joystick or a mouse, and I actually really like this. You can just plug a mouse into any of the devices and go from your hand to the mouse, or if you want to do your programming, just plug that mouse in, and it's changed my world. There's also a head mouse that you can use. So if somebody, maybe their hands aren't the best option, but they can control their head really well, you just plug this head mouse into the top and you can use your head instead. The same with the eye gaze. If maybe eyes are going to be the best option, then you just plug the little module into the bottom and you've got eye gaze. So I love the flexibility that you have with our systems. As people's skills change, as bodies change, you can really just make those adjustments within the same device and within the same software, hopefully. All of our software programs are completely interchangeable within the devices. What PRC has been the most known for is the Unity language system. Unity is our best system for people in that pediatric population who are using AAC to acquire language. So that's really what I'm going to focus on. Unity is one of the oldest languages out there. It was originally under this umbrella of MinSpeak, and it's the only kind of MinSpeak system, which came out in 1981, which is old for AAC, 1981. And what we've been doing with that system ever since is refining it. It hasn't made really significant changes. I think the most recent change was an update that happened in about June, and it hadn't changed for, I think, 10 years before that. And so we needed to make sure that people could recognize the TV and the phone, and so pictures had to change. But it's a very, very solid language system, and it's been around for a really long time. We also have Unidad. It's the Spanish bilingual version of the Unity language system. It follows all of the same rules. Unity is a very rule-based system, and so that's part of what I'm going to kind of walk through. Because as a PRC person, I'm really proud of the language system. As a speech pathologist, it was something that I came to after using a lot of different systems. I realized this had what I felt like my kids really needed, and so I go on and on a little bit about the language. And here it is. So Unity family, all of your options are actually designed with the same principles. And so whether you're using a Unity that's a 28 or a Unity that's an 84 grid, all of the principles stay the same. A big one is that we focus on single words, and especially core words. And Adam touched on that, and I'm going to actually make you work for it in a little bit. Motor plans for words, and organizing words around word families. And it's this word family piece that's really different from every other language system that's out there. So we'll look at that too. So thinking about that single words, I don't know if anybody's going to participate. I'm not gonna make you. I was thinking about it. All right, this is little Molly. She says again, and stuff happens. She learns about 50 words, and she starts saying, go again. She's making combinations. She learns a few more words, and she says, let's go again. And this is a really, really typical way that kids develop language. What's nice about those words is that she could just as easily have said, not again, or again, mommy. And so when we're thinking about single words, this is very natural to how we develop language. You move your mouth, a sound comes out, and somebody responds. A baby says, mama, 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 and mom says, you said mama. And it's not true. You know it's not true. That baby did not say mama. The baby said mama, mama, mama. And mom said, you said mama, and you assigned meaning to it. And what's great about having a single word system is that means we can do the same thing with AAC. We're just going to use a device. And now your finger is your articulator instead of your mouth. So you touch it, and it says mama, and mom comes and says, you said mama, and really shapes that interaction into real words, into real meaning. And so we have a lot of responsibility as communication partners to shape those interactions, but you have the ability to grow language in a really developmental way. Single words are also really flexible because, again, I could say not again, or we're going to do this again, but I can combine them in a lot of different ways. And Adam already made the point, if you've got those 50 words on the screen or those 20 words on the screen and they're just single words, you can say a ton of different things. Where when you have just 20 sentences, you can say 20 sentences. And that can be limiting. It can be faster, but it doesn't let you get your own points across. And then this core, I said I was going to make you work for it a little, but this isn't the one. All right, so why core? It's because not all words are created equal. If you look at the words on the screen, you can see that you know them all, most likely, but some of them you've said today, and others you haven't said for a while. Has anybody said Paul Revere lately? Hibernate? I know, that's the one. I'm like, it's about that time of year. Or scaffolding. So occasionally we do this. I do it every time I do this talk. Tiger lily, it's not on there, but no. And this is the difference between our core and our fringe. We've all said on, we've said go, we've said turn. They're little words. You would not write them down as a part of like, what words does your kid know? You wouldn't even necessarily think of them. They're just little words. We kind of expect people to know them. And so sometimes we forget that that's what people need, partly because they just don't make good pictures. So then when we're thinking that generative language, it comes from our core. 400 or 500 words make up 80% of what we say, and then the rest of what we say comes from all of those nouns that we know, like Paul Revere and scaffolding. And if you're a speech pathologist, you might talk about like fricatives and affricates, but nobody else cares, so they don't know those words. But we all say what and do and want. And if we're thinking about how we actually make these into symbols, things get tricky. It's really easy to draw nouns. And I know you know this, but now I'm going to make you do it. I want everyone, there's enough paper in this room, draw a pizza for me. Take just like 10, 20 seconds and draw a pizza. Yeah, pizza.
Pizza.
I don't care what kind. It can be whole, it can be a slice, it doesn't matter. All right, let's hold them up. And I want everybody like Vanna to around the room. Let's see these pizzas. Looking good. Is anybody confused about what this picture is? You pretty much know, right? This is a pizza. A tiny pizza, right? Excellent. I loved all those pizzas. Did everybody pretty much understand? This is a pizza. It's pretty clear. A couple of weeks ago, I saw one that I was like, oh, that's a wheel. It's not a pizza. But otherwise, I pretty much always know this is a pizza. Now take another 20 seconds to draw need. 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 Not like this. Not this one. Need. I need something. N-E-E-D.
How do you make praying hands? Please. This is my praying hand. This is good.
That's supposed to be hands. That turned out that way.
Doesn't look like that actually.
It looks like angel wings.
All right, do we have them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, show the person beside you. How many of them are the same? Would you be able to guess what that was, do you think? Does it look like it could be only one word, we can all agree on it, or could you put multiple words with it? You're not really sure. Could be want, it could be need. And that's the real difficulty with these core words, is that only 10% of them actually make good pictures. They make terrible pictures. And if you can't read, then you don't know that word above it is telling you what that means. And so when PRC is organizing their vocabulary, we use a different kind of a tool to make that piece easier, because picture recognition isn't going to get us there because they're weird. Right? I say they're weird. We're going to get there, though. So we use motor planning to get around this whole pictures not being good for it thing. So thinking about that, everybody hands in the air, just type your name. Use the keyboard up here to type your name. All right, everyone was really fast. Good job. I didn't see anybody looking really hard for it. All right, new keyboard. Type your name. I have to look. I stick my tongue out a little because that's what happens when I'm focusing. Was anybody really fast with the second keyboard? No, we were really slow. Do you ever say, you mastered the QWERTY keyboard, I'm going to switch you to ABC? We don't do that. With keyboards, the goal is really fast output. The same is true with speaking. We want to have a goal that's really fast output. We don't always want to be shifting things around because that slows you down. Thinking about the apps on your phone, if you delete one, everything moves and you're just really thrown off. So in our language systems, we leave words alone, we leave them in the same spot and leave really consistent motor plans for them so that over time, the picture really doesn't matter. People can just go. And there's been some nice research that has shown that over time, the people who are really talking with their devices, they rely on that motor plan more than the picture. And so we want to leave things in the same spot because that makes it easier for people to be really fast. And that's always a goal for people who are communicating, is to be as fast as possible. And it's the same thing. Why do we want so many buttons? A big thing with PRC is we go for the tiniest button that somebody can physically get to. And it's related to this motor planning. So if you want to send a text message, do you want to send it from this phone or from this one? What do you think? Phone number 1? Phone number 2? Okay, majority rules, it's phone number 2, because this takes less navigation. You just have to work less hard. And so we want to try and do the same things with our language systems. All right, and we're going to get there. And then word families, and this is kind of the big weird one, but please play along with me. You've been really nice so far. What is this a picture of? Yes, you've got it. What do you do with it? When you feel, and it's a kind of, see, you guys know all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so you know a ton of things about an apple other than just its name. And so when we are organizing our vocabulary, we're doing it around these word families rather than the same types of groups that you find in a lot of different systems. The benefit to this is that we can get access to a really big vocabulary with only a few hits. I won't make you do the shoe. And let's take a closer look. Let's actually look at it. So if I'm looking at the Unity family, it's going to look kind of like this. Now, I have 45 buttons up here, It could just as easily be 15 or 28 or 84. I just picked something that was nice and round and kind of in the middle. Ooh. If I wanted to start with something that's a little bit more simple, here, I can do this. I touch it and it talks. I can say I play, and here's where we have another little difference. That top row is going to change. The bottom stays the same. And so if you've got a kid who maybe isn't paying attention to what they're touching, or what, they're not really looking, they're not changing locations. And so it can be really easy. And even if you feel like, I'm only ready for 4, we're going to use a little bit different tool. I'm going to say, I really only want 4 words. And rather than starting with a grid of 4, I'm going to start with this 45 grid because they already proved that they could get to it, but I'm only going to show 4 words because I'm thinking about that keyboard and I'm thinking about long term. Is this making sense? I'm going on and on about the language stuff. This is what I love about it, though, and this something that I see is that people don't tend to outgrow these language systems, that it can really, really grow with them. Now, it's going to grow with them the most when I get to here and those word families come into play. So, I'm like, this looks weird. Let me fix it. No, there it is. Here. So if I hit that apple, this is where my word families start to happen. I have eat, and I have eats and eating and hungry and food and all of my food. So I have a lot of words that are all organized around the apple. And I know that this looks like it's a little bit intimidating. This is just the end goal, right? The end goal is that if I want to talk about what I ate yesterday, I can say ate. Because I want to be able to do that. And I want to be able to say it pretty quickly. Now, we don't want to have to do all single words. We want to be able to use some social words. We want to be able to tell jokes. Because why wouldn't we tell knock-knock jokes? And tell riddles. So there are a lot of sentences that are available here too while you're building your vocabulary. You can still do those really quick things and play Simon Says and make everybody laugh. You've got a lot of options. PRC is really, really strong with this literacy as well. For us, though, if I look in my Pages page, I have phonics and word families. And I keep looking at these screens because I'm not used to this really glorious screen right in front. But I've got my phonics and my word families because it's never too young to start giving kids literacy opportunities. Right? Playing with sounds is a really normal thing to do before you understand anything about it. Just playing around with them. Our devices also can hook up to computers, and you can use it like a keyboard so you can do journaling, even if it doesn't mean anything. Think about how kids are pretending to make grocery lists just like mom. It's just another way to play with sounds and to play with words. So I really like all of the wonderful tools that are in PRC systems. And again, somebody who gets one of these devices, it comes with a consultant, which if you're around here, then that can be me. The devices also come with this wonderful warranty that includes, I threw it in the bathtub, which I know I mentioned to people yesterday, because we know who uses these systems. We know that sometimes you're going to throw it and it's going to break, and that's covered. They come with a subscription to the AAC Language Lab, so if you don't know what to do with it straight away, you have lesson plans that you can pull into. If you don't know what these pictures are supposed to be or how to find that word, you can look it up and have cheat sheets. So there are a lot of really comprehensive tools and supports to help get your kids really talking. And I think that's always been the focus for PRC, is to help kids say anything that they want and be sweet or be jerks, but be themselves. Anyway. And I know we're about out of time. Do you guys have any questions for me? Yes?
Do you have a low-tech version available for now?
We do. And you can go through the AAC Language Lab or this software that I'm actually using on my computer. A lot of people, it's a free download from the website. Yeah. And I keep low-tech files, so I can always email you one. Yeah, go ahead.
You might not know this, but is there a timeline for it to be available in French or Portuguese?
I don't know that. I don't know that. I wished. Yeah.
If anyone has any questions for either of the presenters about the specific products or just AAC in general, please.
Is the hardware that PRC makes kind of mix and match? Like, could you use software and then get a key guard for a different, like Snap plus Core? Could you get the hardware for a key guard from PRC that would line up with theirs? Like, is it customizable that way? No.
No, they do their thing. We do our thing.
Just
And in
checking.
some places, we don't like each other, but here we do.
Okay.
But no, the companies are separate.
Thanks.
Am I not supposed to say that?
You're supposed to say it.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll all be out there if you have more questions or you just want to play around with the devices and things like that. Thank you guys so much. Oh, you've got it. Yeah.
Does yours have the availability to do live photos as well?
It does. Yeah, they all have front and rear facing cameras. Mhm. Oh, and it totally locks out. You can Fort Knox it. Yeah. Just, I'm going to steal now.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
In honor of Erica.
All right. Thank you guys so much.